trying to make everybody equal in this country. At least I hope I'm not talking out of my ass, but like Theodore Roosevelt, he was called a trust buster because he was getting rid of all these monopolies in the US at that time. Because companies were monopolizing the market, meaning they controlled access to one resource. So that meant that they could charge whatever they want, and that does not coincide with the free and fair trading economy, which is what capitalism is, believe it or not. The freedom to charge like what you want and make money off of it without the government being regulated. Like, there's a difference between like, I don't know, maybe I contradicted myself there for a second. Let me collect my thoughts on it. It's like,
Could you be
it leads to, excuse me, the unfair charging of prices. Like, I see what companies want with laissez-faire. Like, oh, government stay out. We don't want you messing with, telling us what to charge and blah, blah, blah. But the way that you ensure that a market isn't stagnant and that innovation is constantly happening is by breaking up monopolies. It's actually illegal in our country to have a monopoly over one single resource. So the way that people get around it is to have duopolies. So there's at least two companies that control one resource. Like right now, that's why like it no matter where you fucking live, it sucks ass because either you got Time Warner cable or you got fucking Comcast cable. They're a duopoly. They own them. They fucking own the entire market. So they can continually keep prices high.
Easy. Don't let him trip you up.
Because no one can afford to compete with them because they immediately get rid of them. It's one thing if you're a small business trying to compete in a market that has been cornered by two companies. And that's why initially people had, that's why capitalism was so lucrative to people. It's like, well, we don't want the government telling us what we can charge. Because as a small business owner, yeah, that makes a difference. But if you're a small business owner, chances are you're never going to thrive because big business will take all of, unless you're, that's the problem, right? That's like my thoughts are going a mile a minute here. Small businesses have to charge enough money to make sure that they make a profit. That's just the truth of it. So because big businesses have way more resources at their disposal, often because they have, they send their labor overseas, they can afford to charge substantially less than a locally owned small business. So it's like, unless you live, somewhere where you can own a small business and still make a profit off of it, you're not going to thrive anywhere. Like small towns like here, we're basically a retirement city. Like we're the second largest city in my state, but like people mostly come here from the far west, like as far western United States, like California, to retire here because it's empty. Like my state has lots of wildlife and forestry and stuff. So it's like, it's a perfect place to retire because there's no like noise here. It's very small, very quaint. You're not going to be bothered in your, twilight years. But if you're someone growing up here, living here, the only place to work here is Walmart. Realistically, Walmart, or you have to get the fuck out. Get the fuck out and try somewhere else. And you can only, like, if you have dreams of starting your own business, the odds of you succeeding are, like, slim to none. Like, the only thing available here is Walmart. And like homegrown, locally grown, organic food is super expensive in the United States.
Repeat, that was awesome!
Repeat, that was one.
Because it has to be. Because it's not stuff that is, you know, like chugged out at a factory's pace. It's stuff that takes time to grow without the use of like insecticides. You know, it's not, there's no growth hormones on the food itself to make it grow faster. Like that's what it means to be 100% grown out of the ground, like organic. And so you have to pay the price for that here in the US because that's not the standard. Meanwhile, I feel like everywhere else that is the standard. Like they don't use preservatives, they don't use this growth hormones and shit. And so they can charge like a fairer price, or because there's competition for them. Like they're competing with other locally grown grocers and they have to charge a fair price, or else people have choices to go elsewhere. But in this country, there aren't tons of organic grocers and stuff. And if there's only one person doing one thing, they have all the supply and can take care of all the demand, so they can charge whatever they want. Like, it was a long-winded rant to explain that America truly is the land of opportunity, but at the same time, like, it's not perfect. No country is perfect. And eating KFC and all that shit is not all it's cracked up to be, I can tell you that much. It's horrible for your health. It tastes good and it's meant to be addictive because it's dirt cheap. And it makes you want to buy more of it. And it makes you sicker. And the sicker you are, the more you have to see the doctor. And the more you have to buy medicine. It's a horrible, horrible system. It's far from perfect. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm saying I hate my country. I love this country. I was born and raised here. But it's like, you know, it's like talking about, you know, we're all a family. And it's like you just talk about your family's problems. Just like anybody, you know.
That was easy.
It's like you realize, like, oh yeah, that is kind of a fucked up thing that Grandpa does, but what are you gonna do? He's Grandpa, you still love him. But it's like, yeah, I tried to do things the quote-unquote correct way, go to grad school, maybe get a PhD in something, but I've come to realize, like, that's not the life for me. I hate school. I hated school when I was a kid. I hated it during my college years too. It's just, it gets better because you can say specifically, like, this is what I want to study.
Rest in peace.
You know, like, ooh, you can start to make conscious choices, like, this is what I actively want to engage in and do. Like, no, I don't want to have to take math anymore because I hate math, or I don't want to take English anymore because I hate English. You know, you choose, like, ooh, I'm super interested in this one subject, this is all I'm going to take, and this is all I'm going to specialize in. But it's like, I had just happened to start when, you know, I just happened to be in the age of, you know, the age of political correctness and really teaching people shit that should be obvious. Like, don't be a scumbag, don't be judgmental of people that aren't you, because that's just stupid behavior anyway. But that isn't common sense for most people, so people, you know, it's another way to make money off of teaching people common sense. Like, hey, you should realize that not everybody is like you. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that's something that you had to teach somebody, but I guess it is. And it's just another way to make money. That's all it is. And so it's like, you know, I go there to have people tell me, like, oh, realize that people have intersections and they're more than what they appear on the surface. It's like, no shit. You mean to tell me people aren't one-dimensional and don't have any personalities or backgrounds or histories? Wow. I never would have guessed that ever. Oh yes, now here, please, you know, pay me fucking $10,000 tuition so I can continue to tell you the obvious. And it's like, well, how is this teaching me how to, you know, how is this providing me teaching techniques on, you know, English as a second language courses? Oh, it isn't? Okay. So it's a waste of money is what you're telling me? Okay. And I'm sure not all programs are like that. This just happened to be my school that did not have a satisfactory TESOL program.
How's this?
Ooh. But like, yeah. That's when I figured out, like, you know what, this isn't for me. There are options, but it's just like, these options are also